My name is Riina Vuorikari and I work for the European Commission. And I work for the institute called Joint Research Center. Within the Joint Research Center, I am the lead currently to do a digital competence framework update. We call it the DigComp 2.2 update. Today, the society is facing many challenges. We, of course, have the energy challenges, environment, we have problems with our neighbors, we have pandemic, and so on. One of the challenges is to understand really what the digital competency is and what does it mean in today's society. For that reason, the European Union has a definition for digital competence. And this is something that has been shared by the European Commission, but also agreed by the European Council, so the heads of states at the EU level and member states level. So our definition is digital competence involves confident, critical, and responsible use of and engagement with digital technologies for learning at work and for participation in society. What is important with this idea is that by competence, we mean that it is a combination of not only skills to do something on the internet or do chatting and so on, but there's also a knowledge and proper attitudes related to it. So that the combination is important. It's not only skills, but we have to have the background information, a little bit about the internet, what do we use it for, and so on. An open, but yet critical attitude. We have the DigComp framework. It was already created first in 2013. We have updated it along the way. But here what do you see is the conceptual reference model. We have 5 areas, which are information and data literacy. Today we have a lot of problems with misinformation and disinformation, for example. Here you can see one of the competencies outlines evaluating data, information, and content online. Each area has been divided into number of competencies. We have 21 competencies altogether. And as you can see, they are not equally placed. Some areas are bigger than the others, but we think all 5 areas are really important. So it is not only in today's society about communicating through WhatsApp or watching YouTube videos, TikTok, and so on. It is also about content creation, about the safety aspects. Your personal data has become more important, every day becoming more important where we go towards AI-driven systems. But also importantly, the 5th area is about problem solving. And this is not only solving technical problems, but using these technologies to solve problems that you have around you in the society, at workplace, and so on. But here, importantly, it's also the creative use. We are thinking of investing in new ideas, making new services and products available. So here, what is the DigComp used for? We have many different uses, and it was interesting already to hear the the Estonian colleagues talking about their experiences, because also in Estonia, they are using at the school curriculum the DigComp framework. In many cases, we just think of DigComp as a training material. I have here the instructional planning. And so that would be the school curriculum, for example, or training curriculum in adult education, training centers, and so on. But there's also a possibility to use the DigComp framework to support your policy formulation and support the creation of better policies for upskilling of the whole society. And here I have put an example, for example, from Austria, a country also close to you. And they have created, for example, their own DigComp framework. We think this is an important part. We keep DigComp as a reference framework at the European level, but then each country, we say, please look at it, take it, adapt it to your circumstances so that it really works for you. Another important part is the assessment and certification. And here we can use it in different ways. You can use it as a self-reflection tool. Here's the link to my DigiSkills, for example, and understand where your own digital competence gaps are. But you can also use it in a way to certify in a more formal level. And here we have an example from France. PIX is a very big platform also using the DigComp framework. So there's already a lot of use cases around, and we have publications, for example, called DigComp into Action, where you can read more about these. Let me just go and remind you, I'm sure you already know, that the Digital Skills Challenge is really at the European level, at the very high priority today. It is throughout the member states countries, but it is also a global challenge. We are all struggling with similar things as we go on. Here, for example, we have set a target at the EU level that by 2030, we would like to have 80% of European adults to have basic level of digital skills. How do we get there? We have a couple of years time to go. And in a way that the European Commission puts out these action plans like Digital Education Action Plan, or the other one here, the European Skills Action Plan. So these are the proposals, ideas to co-work, collaborate together with the member states, but importantly, there's also recovery and resilience funds, for example, available for digital transition. So this is a message that you are not being left alone. How do we monitor this at the European level? We have the digital skills indicator, and it is also based on the DigComp framework. With this, we can look at the activities that adult population does over a last period of about 3 months. And based on that, we compute an indicator. Here, what you can see, for example, in Croatia, in general, you're doing rather well, but worrisomely, there's a really an age gap in the digital skills in your country. So when you design plans, actions, policies, and so on, focusing also on this kind of ideas and using the data available, this data is available by Eurostat, is an interesting way to support your ongoing initiatives. As Sarko already mentioned, we are doing an update to our DigComp framework. We have a publication coming out next month. We have been working on this new, what we call examples of knowledge, skills, and attitude, the ones that I mentioned already in the beginning that form really the competence. We are now giving examples. What does it mean in today's world where, for example, AI-driven applications are being used? How do you need to react with them? How do you make sure that you're still keeping your own data safe, but also your own, let's say, agency, that it's you who decides what to watch and you're not just watching the next YouTube or TikTok video because of the AI algorithm doing so. So one of the important areas I already mentioned is information and data literacy in the future. And this is one of the DigComp competencies I mentioned, evaluating data, information, and digital content. And here in the update, for example, we pay a lot of attention into disinformation, misinformation, how users can fact check, for example, some information that they find online. We talk about deep fakes, that are these AI-produced videos which are depicting people, real people, maybe real events, but they didn't actually happen. And it's really hard for people to know whether they are real or not. So we're talking about this kind of ideas in our new update. Just to give you a little data, for example, we have new information at the European level about disinformation and misinformation. Do people see it online? Here we have information from Croatia that 62% of your population has seen doubtful information in their news and social media. And here the green line, we can see 22% checked whether that was truthful. So this kind of action is really exactly what we need. Go, and if you see something weird, you go and check if it's true. Here also 24% said, I didn't check the truthfulness because I already knew that it was not reliable. That's also taking into account your critical sort of a reading literacy skills. So these are kind of ideas that I'm giving you out for your ways forward. So I heard that this is a multi-stakeholder event and you're looking at the cooperation also within your own country, within towns, cities, so on. This is really important because in this kind of initiatives, what we have seen is that we do need all hands on deck. These are possibilities to, let's say, work across the normal silos and have common goals that actually deliver some interesting results. Be inclusive in your idea. And here also the low, no skills, what I was talking about, digital upskilling and that index, start focusing on those groups that have low skills and how do you move them up to basic skills? How do you move people who have no skills up to basic skills? Look at the different age groups. They do need to have tailored content. And for that, we have the data available, like I said, at Eurostat. Adopt and adapt existing tools to your needs. We have tools like DigComp available. It is a reference framework. You're very welcome to use it. And I know that you have a lot of very knowledgeable people in your country to help you. Look also outside. There's a lot of other member states today at the same challenges, facing the same challenges. Maybe they did already earlier or they are getting there. So this is exactly to share practices. And this brings to my next slide, which is to give floor to my colleague Stefano, who will talk a little bit more about the community of practice for that purpose. So I thank you and I wish you a very good rest of the conference. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Riina. I hope that you can see my, yes, you should be able to see my presentation. Good. So as Riina said, it's important that when working on digital competence, everyone learns and builds on the experience of others. So that's basically the background to the DigComp community of practice that has been established 2 years ago. Just a short information about the background of this initiative. The idea was put forward by experts and stakeholders in Bilbao when we had a meeting with these people to discuss the DigComp at Work report, which was produced at the time. About a few months later, All Digital, which I guess many of you know, it's the association which gathers all around Europe digital competence centers who work with citizens on the development of digital competence. All Digital had the last live annual summit. Then we had, unfortunately, the next ones were online in Bologna, in Italy. And All Digital said that it was willing to host this community of practice. So using the Basecamp platform of All Digital, the COP was launched and the first members joined during the year 2020, a difficult time. And about 120 people had joined by the end of the year. But there were at the time few interactions. The community was a little bit left on it to its own. And then we agreed with, or Digital agreed with the JRC to take advantage of this community of practice to work on the DigComp 2.2 update that Riina just mentioned. And this actually had a very important impact on the COP because very rapidly about 200 people joined the COP. 12 working groups reflecting the topics, the themes that were going to be worked on for the DigComp 2.2 revision were set up, and we held during the spring several thematic webinars where members of the COP and external people could participate. And eventually the last step of the process was in November, October, November, when there was the online validation of the examples that knowledge, skills, and attitude that Riina was talking about. The situation of the COP today, it's an international and multidisciplinary group. As you can see, we have now about 580 members, which come from 57 countries from the EU and all around the world. We really have all 5 continents represented. And I checked, and we have 7 members from Croatia. And these members are stakeholders from very different sectors, but they all have in common the fact that they research, teach, and assess employees and so on with respect to digital competence, and they use or want to use the DigComp framework for it. And as you can see in the table, about half of the members are from the education sector, mostly university, but we also have some school teachers and principals and so on. Members from the third sector, governments, a few business representatives, and then we have, of course, international organizations, including staff from the Commission. So here, let's see how is the COP online environment is made of basically the standard a project on the Basecamp site. You can see we have the possibility, a member of the community has a possibility to look at who are the other members by clicking on the Add Remove button. There are some communication tools. One of them is the campfire for quick messages, the message board where people can post a message and other member reply, and then the ping, which is the one-to-one quick exchange. We have then an archive, an online repository. It's the docs and files section where you can find useful resources of various kinds, and tools to support activities, the to-dos with a calendar and schedule. So why join this community? There are, we think, some reasons. One is the opportunities for inspiration and exchanges. In the COP, you can discuss, share, and learn about digital competence policies and initiatives carried out by other members. Many posts concern how to teach digital competence in different contexts, how to assess digital competence, which are the best approaches and which are the tools available for this, and how to certify digital competence. And I just inform you that there is in fact a twin COP, which always hosted by All Digital, about the certification of digital competence, for those of you who might be interested in this. And then there are discussions about which are the competence priorities and specificities for specific citizens group at risk of exclusion, like elderly people, refugees. Because of the international participation, we have a number of messages. We have had messages about initiatives to be run in developing countries. And of course, members every now and then post messages about proposals that they are setting up, or the results of projects funded by the European Union or at international level. Then, of course, the COP is also a useful source of online resources. Many members post events, open events that other members can attend, reports from what they do, websites that might be interesting to visit, and so on. And then the basic, let's say, activity on the COP is very often asking for help on specific topics. Has anyone done this? Do you know of where I could find something? And the search for partners for initiatives to be set up. So if you want to register to the COP, this is the link. Zarko will have the presentation so you can get it. And thank you very much. In case you need any information, this is my email.